The trashiest games
Oh.
ever made.
Paved the way for all the fighting games that we play. If you want me,
My most overrated is probably Spyro the Dragon.
all right, what's happening, people? We're here in this podcast today. You're here with some of the trillest people in the whole gaming industry. Now, last time we was talking to our cameraman, who is one of the directors of our podcast. We have Trill with us today. Trill, introduce yourself to the camera.
My name is Trill64, old school gamer, new school gamer, and everything in between. Let's go.
And obviously, you know ChallengerxJ from the last podcast.
Yeah, yo, it's your boy ChallengerxJ here. You know where it is, We're back again.
That's it. And you got myself, MF Jones, aka Lee Tunsell on YouTube. And we're going to be talking about a very good topic today. I think this is going to be one of the best podcasts that we've done, you know.
Yeah, man.
Because this is a very good group of people here. We have
I hope
old
so.
school, new school, you know, in between.
I'm feeling it.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good.
Let's
Right. So today we're going to be talking about our most underrated and overrated retro games. So this is anything between 1985 and beyond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, guys, you want to go first? You want me to go first? You know, we don't like to plan this stuff. Let's just go with it.
Okay, let's go.
Do you wanna go first? My
Yeah,
man?
I'll kick things off. Right now. I say for underrated, one of the most underrated games.
Yeah.
I'll give you one from my favorite console, in my favorite retro console, the N64.
There you
I'm gonna
go.
go with
Yeah.
WWF WrestleMania 2000. And the thing is, it is a very rated game, right?
Sorry, was this your most underrated or overrated?
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay.
I think that this game should be in the history books. I think we should learn about it in schools.
It's popular in our community. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a popular game if you type it in online.
probably
the
back-
thing-
it's a very small
It's become
community.
popular now.
Yeah.
This is what's happened. It's come back around
But
now.
it's too
and
late now, you know
and
what I mean?
Exactly. And at the time, I think people slept on that game a lot. Where it's like 4 people can play at one time.
Yeah.
Tag matches, cage matches.
Yeah, it's
what
like
do you want
4
to do?
people.
And it was the fighting system was so easy. Anybody could pick this game up. It was literally like what
When-
Smash Bros.
Do you know when that game came? When did that game come out?
That game came out, I think, November of 1999. I think it was the 14th or the 4th.
So when you really think about it, obviously wrestling is mostly big in American culture, and it didn't really become a thing until wrestling was aired on Sky One in the morning.
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of people that did sleep on it because a lot of people had Sky One back in those days. It was very limited back then because it was new. It was a new experience.
Yeah. It's
But-
perfect we're doing a podcast today about retro stuff because that actually falls so into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the thing about it is that, bro, like I can see that being an underrated game, but because wrestling's popular now, everyone loves it. But yeah, I can see why people are into it in this day and age.
And the thing is, with that time, that was a period of time where wrestling really hit like its golden age. You know,
Yeah.
what they call the Attitude Era. So it was like a lot of edgy content was coming out, like you know, women. You know, there was like a porn star who was a wrestler. Like, yeah, it was his job. It was supposed to be a porn star. You had like things like that going on in wrestling, and you know, telling the crowd to do some disgusting things like
Can I ask
suck
you a
it.
question?
Let's go.
Is wrestling real or fake?
Wrestling's predetermined. So wrestling's
That's a good
predetermined. Wrestling ain't fake. Have you seen the wrestler? Have you seen
I've seen
how
them
much
take-
of
I've
these
seen them
guys
take damage.
you ain't never seen damage
Yeah.
like a wrestler. Wrestler has no time off.
Yeah.
Think about how not having an off season.
Have to stay in shape.
Footballers don't have an off season.
Yeah.
American football have an off season. Even MMA fighters don't fight every week.
Yeah.
We're talking about wrestling 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And you've got to avoid injury. These are life-threatening. There's a wrestler who is actually paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah, I actually saw that on YouTube. Wait, you're talking about the guy that he got hit in the back of the neck?
He got power bombed, hitting the back of the neck.
Oh,
Oh
man.
damn, man.
That's actually a good game to go with,
And
though.
he's actually in the game, so
Yeah, there you go. That's advertising right there. But that's actually a dope selection. So, all right, so you've got your most underrated game,
Yeah.
and that's a very good recommendation.
Yeah.
What about overrated?
overrated. Now I can go a few ways here.
Yeah.
Like I can go. You know what? I'm gonna have to give it a mention, yeah, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it a quick mention, yeah, because I'm passionate how I feel about this. It's like it's Sonic Heroes. Yeah, I think it's one of the trashiest games
Oh.
ever made.
Hold me back.
And like, we went from one of the greatest games, hands down, the greatest Sonic game ever made is Sonic.
Bro, what goes up must come down. If my feet don't touch the ground.
Listen, that is the best thing about that whole game. Is the theme song.
Right, so let me ask you some questions. Is it the fact that they had so many different teams you didn't like? Was it the story? Was it just the free player dynamic?
Do you know what?
What was it you didn't?
I remember buying the magazine and it telling you that you could use 3 people simultaneously, and Team Chaotix was in it. Oh my god! I read Sega comics. No, trash.
You
All
like
of it,
How
trash.
how far did you go into the game?
Completed
though?
the whole game.
You
of
completed the
course.
whole.
I completed everything.
That was a good game.
I like the
It
game.
was a
All
good
right,
game.
all right, though. But are we saying it's a good game because we had to wait how many years for a Sonic game because Sonic skipped a generation?
Yeah.
So when you're talking about, the last Sonic game before that was
Money problems.
Adventure Battle 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, greatest Sonic game ever made.
If
To this day.
Yeah.
If you're comparing Adventure Battle 2 to Heroes,
why not?
It's too hard.
But it
Adventure
comes
Battle
after.
2
I
is
feel-
in its,
I
in, it's
feel
in its
like-
league of
I
its own.
feel-
Have you looked at them together? Like the way the game even looks, the polygons, like it looks like it's coming from, like, you remember Sonic Adventure Battle 2 was a Dreamcast port.
Yeah.
And it's better than a game that was on
Yeah.
the generation above it.
So that came out on GameCube, right? Sonic Adventures came out on GameCube,
On
right?
Dreamcast.
No, sorry, not Adventures. Sonic Heroes came out on
PS2
on
and GameCube.
PS2 and GameCube.
GameCube.
They
And
had,
Xbox.
they had to
Xbox.
adapt to that level of graphics at that time, and at that time, especially on the GameCube, with with Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker, and stuff like that, with a whole cartoony kind of feel. Maybe that's what they'll kind of aim for.
But you know what I feel as well? I feel that Sonic Heroes was more of a puzzle/adventure game, whereas you needed to use the 3 people to advance into the new areas, and like each person had their different skill.
But the courses weren't like, it didn't utilize any aspect of 3D of what we know as a 3D platforming game.
Only boss battles, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know what you mean, that aspect. Yeah.
And when we had Chow Garden, don't get me started on Chow Garden because I love Chow Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Chow Garden was completely cut,
Yeah.
so you had modes cut.
Yeah.
So what you just had to run around with 3 of the same of different people.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough,
I know what
like
you mean.
it can't be everyone's cup of tea, and that's what makes video games so good.
So that
you can't look at it from your perspective, where obviously you really, really like it. We have to
I think he hates it because he's hating on Biggs the Cat. He don't want to play Biggs the Cat. He's like, forget
Who wanted
AB's
to
team,
play
bro.
Biggs the Cat?
He's like, I don't want to play AB.
I don't want to know who you. I don't want to know who you are if you
Bro.
like Big the Cat.
Do you remember Sonic EX?
We had to fish.
Yeah.
And you had to fish.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I didn't complete the game at that point in time till a couple years later because I got stuck at that bit with Biggs the Cat.
I'm
It
gonna
was
tell you the
difficult.
exact same thing. And you know what? I remember the part I was confusing.
No,
There's a part you have to lift up a car and you fall under a manhole.
That's it, yeah, that's it.
And I
then
didn't
you
know
gotta fish.
because I didn't do this with Knuckles.
I think we all just wanted to play as
I
Knuckles,
didn't do
didn't
this as Tails.
Alright, here's a quick question before we go on to the next one. Did Knuckles and that bat chick have something going on?
Definitely.
Rose.
You can hear it in the
Did she have
Knuckles
something
theme song.
going on in it? I just want to. I know there might be kids watching this, innit? So close your eyes and ears for this next bit. But I think he was tapping in it. If you want to hear on his truth, innit?
Probably, yeah.
He's wavy
100%.
like that. Definitely from New York.
If you listen to the theme song, he says she's sexy as hell.
What is it? Pumpkin. What was it? We were talking about the
That
other
one
day.
was
What
Wild Canyon when he says she's
A
sexy
taste
as
of
hell.
pumpkin soup. That's the song. That was dope.
Pumpkin
that was
Hill.
dope. All right. Well, that is good points. That is good points. Obviously, you said some good parts there. ChallengerxJ, do you want to take on the next one?
Yeah, 100%.
Go on, my man. Most overrated game.
So most overrated
No,
game.
most underrated game actually.
Most underrated
Let's
first?
go from there, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what he done. He went first for that one.
Alright,
Yeah,
most underrated game for me would have to be Comic Zone.
What the
Comic
fuck
Zone
was
was
that?
a game that came out on the Sega Mega Drive in 1995, and my god, that game was an absolute masterpiece. This game follows a comic designer who gets zapped into his own comic, and
That sounds cool.
and he can't get free until he gets to the end, essentially.
That sounds cool, man.
This game follows kind of uses the same mechanism as Streets of Rage, but you're in a comic panel. So so once you've defeated all the enemies in one comic panel, you can't progress into the next one until you get until you complete the game.
I never played it, me personally. It's my first time hearing about it, but it sounds dope though, man.
Dude, this game
is like comic
amazing.
panels?
Yeah, literally. So literal comic panels. You
Man.
transgress from one slide to another. Works on the basis 3 lives and you're done.
And what year did you say this came out?
1995.
And in that time where story modes wasn't really a massive.
It was a
massive
fighting game.
It was a beat 'em up. Yeah. So story was really everything in this game.
It was. It was
that sounds like an amazing story.
Everything, man. Damn.
Obviously, so I say when I first got into gaming, I started off with the just normal Game Boy. And with the normal Game Boy came with Pokemon Red and yada yada yada. But my cousins, they had the consoles, so whenever I went around theirs, they had all these games.
That's your older brother.
Comic Zone, I was just like, I was so invested in it. It's one of those games you kept trying to progress and see something new, but you never really truly get there because they're so hard. Like I know the game back then was hard as hell. Like I find it so much easier now because they rely more on aesthetics more than actual gameplay. Comic Zone.
That sounds dope. I didn't see that coming.
Games,
if you want the honest truth, I did not see that coming in it. Comic Zone is actually that's actually really dope, man. I don't know a lot about it to talk about it. Do you have anything more? Do you want to kind of say to us about the game? Is it about like did it have a simple system? Did it have like a boss fighting system?
It was a very simple system. Like I said, it followed the street. It kind of followed the Streets Rage thing. You can find weapons on the floor. You pick them up. You've got one button to attack, another one button to jump, do the jump attack. It's all about timing.
Did you follow the story? Or did you mess people up? Sorry.
I just mess people up, bro.
Before we go into your overrated, I want to ask you a question. Do you think that Streets of Rage was overrated? Because games like this, they're good beat 'em ups. We think about Turtles in Time, The Death of Superman, which is the only good Superman game still this day. And these are all these good beat 'em up games. And Streets of Rage gets the face of all of them.
I think that was just the right time,
is that
right
worthy?
place, innit? You want the honest truth.
With Streets of Rage was kind of the first game that kind of done this whole system of walking down the street and fighting, brawling. It catapulted
OG King.
Those games, you know what I mean?
So more of a legacy than the actual being a good game itself.
It's like what is the first fighting game? What is the first fighting game to ever do retro?
I mean, you're talking Street Fighter 1, but there were obviously other games
that catapulted, you know what I mean? That catapulted everything. There's so many fighting games out there that's so versatile and different. But Street Fighter will always be that one because it started it all. So that's why Streets of Rage is always continued. Like, when did Streets of Rage get remade? Did they get another one recently? Recently.
I was gonna buy that. You made me get Animal Crossing. That was kind of. Have you seen my village? All right, that's cool. That's dope. All right, so. We've done most underrated. What's your most overrated retro video game?
Actually, my most overrated video game. You know what I'm gonna say? My most overrated is probably Spyro the Dragon.
That's a very easy game.
But
that's actually quite difficult. I died a lot in that actually.
Yeah.
I remember now. Me dying a lot. But I did actually complete that.
I don't know how. I feel about that, man. I don't know.
You know why I say that? Because I always, whenever you think of the retro PlayStation 1, two games that always get echoed is Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Now, I feel like Crash Bandicoot was on a whole different level.
It was on a whole different level. Crash was honestly on a different. What was that mask? What did you say?
Exactly.
I still feel though Crash Bandicoot is very overrated.
Oh, you think Crash Bandicoot is overrated?
I think it's very overrated, but I don't think the game is bad.
No, it's
I think it's an enjoyable game. I enjoy it. Yeah, even now,
I love Crash.
I play the remake anytime, but I still think it's overrated, because in terms of platforms at that time, you had, Sonic didn't step into 3D that year.
I feel like
you had Mario 3D.
I feel like Crash got better once he got to Crash 3.
Yeah.
Crash 1 and 2.
But every game has to do their 2, 3 to get better. There's multiple games.
But with Spyro, Spyro 1,
do you guys remember Tekken
Spyro
1?
2, Spyro, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Fair enough. No, fair play.
It wasn't as big as it you know, it wasn't as big as it normally was because it got ported over to that skyscrapers. Well, that's Skylanders. It got
Skylanders,
ported.
yeah.
I'll tell you what. Then this is a good analogy, right? We was talking about Smash Bros the other day about Steve coming in, and then I said I wasn't happy about Steve. I was fucking hoping Jin from Tekken. I know it's super random, but you said to me that they need to appeal to the next generation, and Spyro to me wasn't necessarily a game for retro people like ourselves, but more towards that younger. That are looking to aspire.
100%.
My girl ain't a video game.
So maybe Spyro was behind its time. It should have been more ahead of its time.
Yeah,
more probably the kids, more people.
Fair
when
enough.
It came out now. That's probably right.
So just to recap on what we just spoke about, right? So we went from Comic Zone to being the most underrated game.
Underrated, and I say Spyro was my most overrated.
Overrated. That's cool. That's done as well. That's nice. I thought he was gonna say Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah, I had to
research. I was like, what's this?
Before I was gonna head with Echo the Dolphin, but you know, now that retro is expanded more. I kind of like honed into one game more, and I was like,
Okay.
But Echo the Dolphin, I hate that game. That game's trash. That game is trash. That game's hard as hell. I don't know how anyone completes that game.
Fair play. All right, cool. So obviously we've had two very, very good points here. My points are going to intersect you both into this because you're both going to like the games that are implemented to this whole system, right? So I'm going to talk about my favorite game, which is the most underrated game in my eyes, because everyone always talks about Street Fighter 2. My one is going to be Turbo Street Fighter 2. Now, Street Fighter 2 came out in 1991. They had 3 years for this game to come out. This game came out in 1994. Now, when this game came out, it brought two things, Akuma and super moves. It was a game changer. You went from a simple fighting system. There's only so many Shoryukens you can pull off. Or how many flash kicks you can pull off as well.
Just for the people at home, what was the differences between Street Fighter 2 and Turbo Street Fighter?
Alright, so Street Fighter 2 was obviously a lot more slower. You know, they had a lot less features in the game in terms of movement and hit confirms and things like that. When it comes to Turbo, they changed the balancing. They added another character, and they overall perfected those imperfections.
Wait. Okay. Because the reason why I wanted to interrupt you, is because Turbo. I don't actually like Turbo 2. It's not my favorite Street Fighter 2. It's the one before that. Is my favorite Champion Edition.
But I'm happy you said this. Do you know why I chose Turbo Street Fighter 2?
Let's hear it.
Okay, cool. So Akuma gets released. Akuma used to be a gag. It was this. Do you ever read that electronic magazine thing? It was like a gag comic. And Akuma was like a gag version of Shenlong.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Shenlong doesn't exist. You know when they used to say you need to defeat Shenlong to stand a chance? He don't exist. He's just some random dude they done as a gag. Akuma was a gag that got so much fan attention that they decided to make him into Street Fighter 2 Turbo because the anime and the mangas didn't start till 1994.
So what came first? Did the gag manga come first?
The gag manga
came
out between 1992 to 1993, and then the secret character for Akuma came out in 1994 with Turbo Street Fighter 2.
Did they name him Akuma in the gags? Because obviously
there was Goken, there was Shenlong, there was loads of different names for it and stuff like that. They didn't have the overall story mode there. The reason why this game's my favorite because it ties in with my next one, which is X-Men: Children of the Atom. Now that game is in my eyes were nothing special, but they released Akuma in it, and because Akuma was in that, it then went from being a simple X-Men game to bring in the next greatest fighting game, which was Street Fighter versus X-Men. Akuma got so much hype between X-Men: Children of Atom, all because of Street Fighter Turbo 2. He got so much hype that in 1996 they released Street Fighter vs X-Men. So what happens after that? You then go another 2 years, Marvel vs Capcom. You then go another 4 years, Capcom vs Sync. SNK. I said Sync.
Has Akuma's Raging Demon got teleportation qualities? Because how does he jump into game to game? He's in Tekken 7. He's in Marvel. He's like
But this is what I'm saying to you. I'm not talking about the greatest fighting game there was, because Street Fighter 2 have a revenue of 10 billion. A game to earn 10 billion from 1991, you're talking currency has changed since then. It's completely
You're talking
different.
about what it introduced and what it spiraled into.
And because they, for some odd reason, someone decided, right, I want Akuma and X-Men, that's given us all the games that we've sit there as kids, got high to, drunk to, and played in the arcades is because of this game. Now, he said a good point, Champions Edition being better. Man, I rate it. I'm with you on that one.
Hey, there's good reason for that.
I'm with you on that one.
I had a secret Evan Honda technique that pushed me forward every time I did the punches, so I can keep you in that corner forever.
A little hack.
There's a little hack.
No, yeah. I was thinking, here's a good question that we should really check in. I don't know if anyone in the comment section knows this, but what was the first ever crossover game? What was the first collaboration ever been done?
The first ever crossover game was Street.
Alien versus Predator, or you have RoboCop versus Terminator.
Ooh,
So
okay.
RoboCop versus Terminator was on the Super Nintendo in 1990, I believe, or 89. I think it was a year after RoboCop was released.
Yeah.
There was a few RoboCop games, but that one actually had a good story, because I actually collected a few of the comics, still got some in my house, that of that storyline, and I love the way it all plays out, and in that game it's really good.
That's it.
That's a good one. That's a really good one,
The
though.
first fighting game was Street Fighter versus X-Men. And that happened because of X-Men Children of Adam. And this is what I'm trying to say to you when it comes back to Turbo, and because I love Akuma. You know, my last 2 YouTube videos, Akuma, check it out. It was sick. You check these boys in the comments as well. And it's literally because of that, because it paved the way for all the fighting games that we play. If you want me to be honest, I've got like a whole analogy with it. I get crazy. I have like chalkboards that link in dates and times back. And so a gag character changed everything. This is what we got. One thing on a magazine issue, a gag character changed everything. Imagine Akuma. You know, like we know the backstory. You know, we know he's Gouken's brother. Or in the comics, there's so many different comics. In one of the comics, he they said he's from the future. I was like, what the hell? That was really from the future. I was like, what? Anyway,
that's one thing I love about video games. If you dive into a lore of any video games and they got comics to back in those lore, it makes the series just so much more.
The game
beautiful,
came out first, and then the comics. I didn't know that, and I was like, bro, like really, I would have thought the comics and the manga would have came out first, and then that would happen. But no, they literally just were just making the game. If you play Street Fighter 1, you get to verse Gouken's master Goki. Oh my god, no, Gogetsu. Sorry, Goki's Akuma. You get to fight Gogetsu. And I was like, I remember playing it many years later, because I started with Street Fighter 2. I didn't start with Street Fighter 1. I remember playing it many years later and thinking, rah, this game is trash.
So I got a question that's never really been answered.
Go on.
So basically, Akuma wins the fighting tournament, the world fighting tournament, technically.
I actually know the
because he
answer
kicks
to this.
Bison in the face.
So I actually know the answer to
and
this.
wins, surely.
So Bison and Ryu are about to go head to head in this tournament. Akuma's already met Ryu prior to this point. You know, he's already seen him, and that's how they have their ultimate final clash.
Yeah.
He does a Satsuna Hado against Bison. You know, Bison didn't stand a chance in it. Who does stand a chance in it? That's a sick move. You know, if I'm walking down the road and I hear that, I'll start running. All right, we talked too much about that now.
Most overrated game.
All right, most overrated game. It has to be Cybermox, Full Metal Madness, and you guys are probably going to think, why the hell have I gone for Cyberbots? I'm going to link it back to the same method that I had with Turbo Street Fighter 2 with Akuma. When you played Tekken 7 and they introduced Akuma,
I don't think I've ever heard this game before. What's this game about?
Oh man, it's about these robots and they find each other. A lot of the similarities go back into Capcom versus SNK.
So when in Marvel vs. Capcom, Onslaught is the villain, right? And then when you win with Akuma, there's a suit that has a cyborg eye and a cyborg wing. That's from that game?
Basically from that game, but obviously dumbed down and things like that. But that's why I don't like it. Akuma doesn't need to have these types of things, you know? Akuma in Tekken 7 came along, beat the hell out of Heihachi, beat the hell out of Kazuya. Man, he would have beat the hell out of Jin if he saw him. He don't need this stuff, and that's why I have to say, you're going to add him into a game, you're going to try to do what you've done with X-Men and make that game relevant. You don't need to dumb down one of the greatest fighting game characters in a whole goddamn generation.
I think that's what Marvel vs. Capcom does though, isn't it? Like the whole thing with Thanos having the Satsuna Hado.
That was dope! That was know.
It's one of those things like they combine the two because it's just like.
Can you imagine?
Why not?
Thanos and Ganondorf are two people to me that scare the hell out of me.
Yeah.
You know, you just look at it and think, right, I don't want to one-on-one you. You know what I'm trying to say? Innit? I know when you was reading your comics as a kid with Thanos, you was like, what the hell? You got bare comics with Thanos. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to see that noise. But that would have been great. And they messed up Marvel vs. Capcom. Not necessarily in 3 because look, 3 had Virgil, 3 had Akuma, 3 had all these other different people.
Yeah.
They messed up number 4, Infinite.
Yeah.
Is it 4? Yeah, 4 Infinite. Because they could have done so much good stuff with it. They got a goodish kind of storyline.
Yeah.
You know, with everything going on.
Yeah.
And then just ruined it.
I think that was all down to logistics between Capcom and Marvel.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and you know how they gave the license away to Square Enix, so Capcom was like, why should we bother?
They gave the license away,
Yeah, so it's like, why should we bother? But Michael B. Jordan has come out and said he wants Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the PlayStation 5.
They should do
and
that.
His interview is making the rounds on Twitter. Yeah. I'm just seeing it everywhere.
But he's one of the few rappers that also are big fans of this. Who's the other guy? Logic? He's a big fan. He's a big Street Fighter.
Yeah. Logic, and you have a few celebrities like now are on the face of PlayStation, especially are really trying
to be honest, Michael B. Jordan is a very OG like
influential
fan.
He's a Naruto fan.
Yeah. Like he's got the whole he's got the clothing line for Naruto.
Yeah.
He knows about his consoles. He's amazing. You know what I mean? He's about that life.
I really hope he's actually a fan and they're not just like someone behind him.
Well, even if he isn't, would you be mad and we actually get it?
I wouldn't because more people.
If we get it,
you're
we get it, and he did do it, thank you. You didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Should we get him in a Street Fighter movie and get him to play Sean? That'd be sick. But yeah, no. So for obviously talking about underrated games. Overrated games. Oh my god, I forgot the bloody name.
Megalobots.
Cyberbots. Cut that bit out. Cyberbots. Final Metal Madness, whatever it is crap. It's ruined the name for Akuma. The gameplay was dead. All the robots look the same. All right, the main characters behind it were cool. But honestly, it's not for me. You guys have anything to say about it?
I don't really know too much about the game, to be fair, but sounds like it's trash.
Yeah. No, you know what? I'm gonna take your word for it. I never actually played it, but I've always known it from Marvel vs. Capcom and seen that. I thought, where was that from? Why does Akuma have a cyborg eye?
If I see someone in the goddamn comments,
sorry. One thing I was gonna say is, was there a character in the game that was associated to it though? Was one of the fighters associated to that game? So
what do you mean? One of the characters associated to Akuma?
So
Akuma being in there is just someone they've just thrown in there. There was no reason for him to be in there. They've done the same with X-Men. There was no need for Akuma to be in there. It's the same thing because Turbo Street Fighter 2 earned so much, money and praises for just chucking in a random secret character. So obviously you had to press up and you had to get to him. That's what they were trying to do, and they done good with with X-Men, but then obviously someone got carried away and decided to put a bazooka on him.
You gotta remember these crossover games. There's a lot of them that hasn't worked. Look at the Tekken and Street Fighter game,
which is so upsetting because it had so much potential.
And you had 2 of them.
I liked it, but this is it. It was limited and it was flawed down to the part that Bandai Tekken didn't give it justice. The game got announced with such good cinematics and such good fighting gameplay, but no one knew about it. And it's the same problem that happened with Marvel vs. Capcom. When that game came out, they had like a sick opening, but no one knew about it. I swear it was just sitting there one day and it was like, oh, is Marvel vs. Capcom 4 out? I was like, what? Well, how do we not know this?
Do you think rollout was poor?
Do you think the game would have done better if it was reversed? If it was Tekken making the game?
No, I think Tekken's done a good job.
Yes. Listen, the people at Namco,
I wonder who the person was that owned the giant straw hat. Come on, let's go, baby, oh, we shared the one dream. Come on, let's go, everybody, oh, we shared the good times. Come on, let's go, everybody, oh, we shared the one world.